The Three Sisters race circuit in Wigan, England, is host to round one of the Maxxis Motard Masters Winter Series, which is the forerunner to the Summer Series. Each of the three events are held over 2 days, with the first day consisting of practice and heats, and day two for the main motos and the super final. There are 4 classes, and riders can compete in more than one if they choose. The SM1 class is the biggest class, with a minimum of 250cc and a 700cc maximum. SM2's 250s to 450s, and SM3 is the 125s to 250s, and SM4 is for 11 to 14-year-olds on 85cc to 150cc machines. It's not just cold, it's icy as well, so it's going to be a real test for all the riders in the 4 classes, and foot numbing for the spectators that have turned up here. Amongst the entrants here this weekend is John McGuinness from Morecambe, who's always game for any form of motorsport, but is better known for his tremendous success as a circuit and road racer. Last year, he became the fastest man ever around the Isle of Man TT course when he blitzed existing records in the Formula 1 and the junior races on a Yamaha. Despite his best attempts, though, in the heats, he didn't qualify for a run in the motos, so now he's got to try and qualify for a way through in the last chance races.
Well, last year I did the Winter Supermoto series. I really enjoyed it, you know, it was like a 5-6 round series, and for me it's just about enjoyment and just keeping fit and just keeping myself sharp, but it is totally different, yeah. It's been cold. I was struggling yesterday and sort of we didn't qualify, so we're going down a different route to try and get in the main final today, but no, I've just been enjoying it.
The Wire Yamaha team has Swiss ace Danny Müller in SM2, who triumphed in the series last winter, and he has at his disposal a radical 2-wheel drive 450 machine for those difficult conditions.
Yeah, it's a big difference to the normal bike, so we have the wheel speed in the front and in the back, so I think when it's wet and watch dirty is very good for riding. We have much more control of the bike, and so I want to test this.
Expected to go well in the SM3 class is Petr Volisek from the Czech Republic. Kitted out with an MW Racing 250 Honda, he should have a pretty straight run through the motos and into the super final. Husaberg are well represented here with several entries, and all are very competitive riders. Like 34-year-old Belgian Fred Fiorentino, who just simply relishes the challenging and technical aspects of supermoto. He may not be one of the youngest riders, but with 15 years of motocross behind him, he is one of the most experienced, and it'll be difficult to rule him out of being on the podium.
The track is very slippery, and you must ride very, very clean, very smooth. And sometime here you forget your aggressive way of ride, because it's important to have maximum motricity. So I think it's difficult because you must be very fast and no aggressive.
Lining up in SM1 on a very new 510 Husqvarna for Husky Sport UK is 23-year-old Jay Smith. He is no stranger to podium places and a great performer for the spectators with his nothing-to-lose approach.
Bike's fine. Obviously it's a new model, so we're developing stuff and we're getting used to all the way it works. So time will tell, but it's a good bike and I feel really confident that we can get it going. So.
The Bracken team of A.D. Smith, who's known as one of Britain's best enduro riders. He took up Supermoto a couple of years ago and is well at home on the KTM despite it being an old model.
we're actually still using our 04 bikes. The 05 bikes haven't arrived yet, so that's myself and Matt. We're just sort of seeing out the winter series really on our 04 bikes, and we know them anyway, so we know how to run. There's not a lot to set up on a bike that you've been using for 12 months.
Last year, Matt Winstanley moved from motocross to supermoto and lifted the British 450 title. The 21-year-old, with that first-year experience behind him, he's set to pounce again this season.
Last night it wasn't as icy as the night before, so hopefully today the track will clear up a bit sooner. And hopefully the sun can stay out, get a nice dry line on the track and make some exciting racing today.
With no progressing championship, the aim is all about winning the Super Final. And there are basically two ways to qualify to race in it. In SM1 and 2, the top 16 riders go through from the motos and the top 5 from SN3. And they're joined by the top 3 from the last chance races. Let's have a look at what they've got to tackle this weekend on board with Danny Muller.
We're coming down the start and finish straight. This is the first bend. Sticking second gear for this bend is quite tight into the next left. Very slippery on the exit, so try and keep tight left as possible because there's mud on the circuit. Down the straight, up into third, down into second. Very tight, very slippery here. Into Luna, snick third gear around now on the exit. Keep going wide. Try and keep as much corner speed as possible around this bend for your exit onto the start and finish straight. Onto the start and finish straight. Up through the gears. Third, fourth. Down into third, into second, round the right-hand bend and into the dirt section.
Just putting onto the new off-road section. Now there's a couple of bumps in the off-road just before you hit the tabletop. It gets a bit wet then. Very tricky with the wet tyres on, coming into the right corner where the ruts are and then coming back onto the off-road, which drags all the muck onto it. Over the next jump, down the hill, a lot of braking bumps into this corner, left-hander, and then you've got your very slippy sideways out to the corner, up into the finish turn, and then again you run a bit wide, just get out to the mud, so stay on the wet line, and then back round for the finish.
First moto of the day is for the SM1 class with Matt Winstanley and A.D. Smith and also David McKee on the front row, ready for 7 laps of this Three Sisters course. And these machines, a minimum of 250cc 2-stroke or 4-stroke. They can be single or twin-cylinder engines, but no greater than 700cc 2-stroke or 4-stroke single or twin-cylinder engines again. Joined by Steve Colley in the box. We're just about to go for the first of 7 laps, Steve. Away they are.
That's right, as you can see out there, very, very greasy conditions. The guy's on it already though, and someone down early on.
That's number 24, Ivan Kerr, that's gone down into the first turn on the Honda, but everybody else filing through now, and I think it was the number 0 machine of Matt Winstanley that got away quickly there and cleanly, and I think Winstanley's going to be one to watch. Down goes Steve Spencer as well, but it's all about Winstanley and who's up there with him at the minute.
David McKee second place, A.D. Smith third, and Fiorentino in 4th place.
Well, Fiorentino, I think, is going to go well today, but these conditions, Steve, so difficult, and these tyres have to cope on 2 surfaces as well.
That's right, as you can see, they're all the guys on wet weather tyres. Things drying out slightly with a bit of sun. Onto the dirt though, that won't help.
We've got everything. We've got dry tarmac, we've got wet tarmac, very muddy conditions, slightly muddy, and also ice as well. It's going to be a good test.
Yeah, the boys will be slipping and sliding around. As you can see, on the dirt, rutting up already. Tight line seems to be the one there.
But it is Winstanley that is out at the moment. David McKee second, A.D. Smith. Here's a replay of the start, and look at Winstanley from pole. What a great start he got there.
He's on it, sliding, and even see the back tyre smoking there.
Struggling so much to get grip. I mean, it has been bitterly cold here, and it's just difficult riding conditions, as we saw a few people go off, and now another one down as well. Andy Mitchell has gone, and he was in 6th place at the time.
And there we have David McKee on the Husky Sport in 2nd, and also A.D. Smith 3rd place on the KTM 619.
2 very good riders, David McKee from Northern Ireland and A.D. Smith. Well, what can we say about him? He's well accomplished, isn't he? just a bit of a dry line around the outside now. It is sunny, but it's still bitterly cold. It's going to take some time, but Matt Winstanley, look at him go. He's just well ahead of these guys who are pushing hard. But Eddie Smith got some work to do. He's just that little bit behind David McKee, and in these conditions, that's not easy to make up, I don't think.
As you can see, he's still really, really slippy and very difficult to push early on in the race like this. They get a bit of heat in the tyres, and then as soon as they go on the dirt, all the heat goes out again, so difficult times for sure.
It must make it very difficult to sort of judge the optimum line on these machines, because the conditions are just changing all the time. Well, it's changed for that guy who's just retired out of this race. That's William Sawyer that stopped. But here is Winstanley. Look how far away he is now.
Great control there. The bike's sliding, but it also looks so smooth. It really does. He's backing it in sideways. Oh,
backing it all over the place. And that is David McKee and Eddie Smith that have both gone down. Eddie Smith continued on, and McKee's got back on and has lost a couple of positions, but that was just shows you how hard they're pushing.
Just lost the front end there.
Matt Winstanley, though, not making any mistakes, but I mean he is having to hang on to that machine pretty tight as well. That's the one of the 613 KTMs.
Looking so smooth there. You can tell from his motocross experience. Knows exactly what he's doing. Good setup with the bike, suspension working nicely.
The KTM team have got that well and truly sorted, and he's not far off the checkered flag as well. The 7 laps have gone right in his favour, but this is a great opening shot for him. Great for his confidence as well, I would imagine.
That's right. Good for the team. Obviously worked well on the bike. KTM top 2 positions at the moment.
He has just blitzed everybody, and there is the checkered flag. Oh, how delighted is he going to be? Well, you can see how he is as he pulls the front wheel up in celebration there, and a big cheer from the crowd as well. But with almost 11 seconds in hand, Matt Winstanley wins the first SM1 moto, whilst Jay Smith took second place, and Eddie Smith recovered back up to third place again. Well, David McKee did manage to get back up after this incident and continue, but lost out on 2 places, crossing the line in 4th place. But a simply superb ride from Matt Winstanley in only his 2nd year in the Supermoto. Well, Steve, this is SM3 Moto 1 and slightly smaller machines this time as they get the start.
That's right, onto some small little 125 2-strokes, and we're up to 400cc 4-strokes.
Nippy little machines. These are going to be a handful as well, I think, in these conditions.
That's right, a lot lighter, but the power comes in a lot harder. With the power bands, completely different.
It's Peter Vorlasek that's making the best of it so far anyway on his 250 MW Racing Honda. He's leading. Richard Blakeman on a Suzuki is currently in 2nd. Then it's Grant Faulkner, Rick Defoe, David Hartley, who's an up-and-coming rider. Then we've got 15-year-old Scott Woodacre in 6th place at the moment. A little bit of sunshine, conditions have improved, but it's still very wet, especially on the muddy parts.
That's right, it really hasn't dried too much at all. Even with the sun out there and the guys going round and round.
We had the SM1 boys out before, and they've churned things up a little bit, so these guys having to go over the top of that. But Vorlasek it is leading. Number 17 has just stopped after an incident, and so too 48. That was Martin Robbins and Keith Warren, and they've continued now. Richard Blakeman.
That was looking cool there. Sideways by pulling the tear off.
Really difficult with the conditions. You're just getting dirt up on the visors, and they have to do something. Obviously, they need to see. But Vorlasek it is. It's out in front and progressing on his way round on the 250 Honda. 250 Honda's a pretty trick piece of kit, always have been as well.
As you can see, wider line there, trying to find the dry tarmac. Boys just feeling the power in there, backing it on the back brake, and then foot off.
Difficult as well when you're under pressure, just trying to go around the outside there and look for a way through. It's pretty easy, or fairly easy when you've got your own line, but when you're fighting for position, it's a lot harder. Over the top comes Richard Blakeman in 2nd place. 3rd place, it's David Hartley. 4th place is Grant Faulkner, the 17-year-old who's going well on one of the wire Yamahas. They've got the 2-wheel bike here this weekend, but there is the race leader who now becomes the race winner, picks up the front wheel, and Petr Vorlasek has done it. The man from the Czech Republic wins. What a clean start, and then the lead all the way for Petr Voracek, whilst behind him David Hartley held off Richard Blakeman for second place. Another very closely contested moto, and with conditions continuing to improve, it's only going to lead to even closer racing as the day progresses through its schedule. On to SM2 class. This is their first moto, and another change in the regulations for these machines as well.
Bigger bikes this time, 252 stroke minimum and up to 454 stroke maximum.
Single or twin cylinders as well in there, all sorts of people. That's the lineup you can see for the grid. Pole position on the right hand side of your screen, number 0. Yes, that is Matt Winstanley again, riding in this class too, and he's got another brilliant start, Steve, into the first turn.
And he holds shots again from the outside. He's certainly got that start sussed.
Absolutely perfectly off the line there. Just seems to have a wonderful ability with that KTM, and Sam Warren right up behind him. And then the man that we just saw winning the previous race, Petr Voracek's there.
That's right, straight out there, changing bikes, and he's on the pace already.
Greg Kinsella just stopping and trying to restart his machine at the side of the track, but Winstanley is away at the moment. Just looking so confident on that. Somebody went really, really wide there and lost out on a place or so. Has just gone back, and bikes very close to touching each other. Whole gaggle there. Great for the spectators though.
Brilliant stuff. Conditions still pretty patchy. You can see big dry bits, but also on other bits very, very damp, and obviously off-road here looks still very, very wet and slippy.
Matt Winstanley, Sam Warren, Petr Voracek, Nick Hobden now up into 4th place. Then it's Matthew Pope, Jay Matthews, and Chris Hodgson as well on the KTM. We've got a KTM leading, a Hussenberg second, then it's a whole stream of Hondas at the minute. But this is number 10 and 52, Nick Hobden and Matthew Pope scrapping it out for 4th place. These two still riveting and just trying to close as well at the same time with Petr Voracek, and down goes Dave Jolly, number 82. He's just caught up with his machine, but looks to be okay as we come back to number 10 again, Matthew Pope in 4th place. And now there's Frederic Fiorentino, the Belgian. What a great rider he is. He just blitzed his way through there.
Round the outside, completely different line, looking for the dry stuff.
He is just going wider, isn't he, and just picking up on the dry tarmac. And here is the start. Winstanley just so good there to get straight across the front of the grid there. And there's Fiorentino, number 41.
Around the outside again. He does like his different lines.
Number 7, Petr Voracek in 3rd place. And he's got Fiorentino right behind him. This is going to be a great little battle between these two. Fiorentino looking a lot happier. And look at what he's just going straight around the outside. No problem at all.
Amazing. Don't know if he's on a different tyre compound or something, but he just seems to be getting grip where no one else can.
He just seemed to be able to do stuff that Voracek just couldn't or wasn't happy about doing. The body language just seems completely different as well. And Voracek, of course, has the advantage. He's been out on the circuit already before, but Fiorentino just riding brilliant. Look at him there.
Very fine. Backing her in on the back brake.
Beautiful. You'd think he was indoor, and that was a great move there.
Looking pretty much controlled as well. It's not out of control and sliding bad.
Not a ragged thing at all. Matt Winstanley, though, really is giving everything. Fiorentino right behind him now in 2nd place. He's up behind Winstanley. Can he do anything about it? He's closing rapidly. This is great stuff. That's where he made that move last time. Winstanley was slightly wider, though, and blocked the way through this time. Do you reckon he can do it?
He's definitely looking good at the moment, and he's caught so much time back on Matt Winstanley. There's no reason. As you can see, his lines are completely different. Look at that around the outside. Amazing stuff on the dry stuff, and he's going to have him.
Absolutely incredible riding. Matt Winstanley must wonder where on earth the Belgium has come from now. But can Winstanley fight back?
Class riding. He even had the nerve just to look back and smile at his component there.
Just a little twitch. They go up onto the rough again. Not much can be done here unless they can get on a tighter line. Winstanley's not going to give up, though. I'm sure he's not, and won't want the Belgium to win it. Can't do much here. I think it's going to be all about the dry lines. This was great, though, Steve.
That was amazing stuff. That was confidence for you. Look at the angle he's throwing on the dry line all the way round. And I see a little look back.
Stanley was working really hard on the inside line, but Fiorentino making it look easy, and there is the checker flag, and Winstanley loses out.
What a ride.
Well, a brilliant ride from Frederick Fiorentino to narrowly beat Matt Winstanley, who must have thought that he had the win in the bag until he was caught up and passed by the Belgique rider. Sam Warren third, and Petr Vorlacek was fourth. This was where Fiorentino made it stick, going wide on the dry line. You can see on the left-hand side, Matt Winstanley still on the greasier stuff, but there he goes, saw the dry patch and made it stick.
I start very confident, and I found the very good and very fast line. Where there is some parts on the track where there is dry outside the track, and it was the best solution to overtake Winstanley and Vorlacek and other riders.
Very pleased and understandably very happy Frederick Fiorentino, but slightly miffed Matt Winstanley to miss out there on that second place after being completely outridden.
First open race went real well, had a win with that, so that was good. Then went up to the 450. First race, had a nice lead, 3 seconds, and Fred Fiorentino pulled 3 seconds in one lap. I knew he must have had a good line, and round the back of the track there was a dry line on the outside, and he came round me.
So I think maybe a little score to settle for Matt Winstanley next time these guys meet on the track again. The SM4 class caters for riders aged between 11 and 14, and all of them were on 85cc bikes. And at the start of their 6 laps, 14-year-old Gennaro Dicello got the whole shot into the lead and then kept it all the way, whilst Oliver Pope and Lewis Toombs slotted into second and third places, but neither could close the gap down on the lead. Incredible 18.5-second winning margin for Gennaro Dicello, with Olivia Pope making it just 1-2 for KTM, and then Lewis Toombs and Jake Hartley next for Yamaha. So that's the opening motos for all classes complete. Next it's on to Moto 2. Second time out on the grid then for the SM1 class, Matt Winstanley on pole again, and I think he's going to go well again, back on the big bikes.
Definitely, it looked like they had a really good setup the first time out, both him and A.D. Smith on the KTM.
Frederick Fiorentino as well, who we've just seen in dynamite form. I wonder what he can do this time.
That's right, it'd be interesting to see if the guys will have picked up on his dry lines.
Here we go there, Matt Winstanley, number 0 on the right-hand side. Can he do it again? Looks to be pretty good, Steve, he has.
Oh, mega, what a start. Looks like he's got launch control on that KTM, the way he gets away.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. It's working right for him, isn't it? Through they go. Everybody through safely this time, and it looked like Jay Smith that was up with Winstanley.
Much drier second time out. As you can see, the guys are pushing a little bit harder.
The 22, Tim Booth was making up a few places as well on the outside there as they all stream through, but out the front it is Winstanley again. There he is. This guy's just setting his stall out already. A.D. Smith, that's right with him, seems to have lost a 0 from the front of his number plate, and there is Tim Booth, slot him into, I think that's about 10th place behind Nigel Scott.
Everyone looking a lot more stable this time out with much more dry places on the tarmac.
Certainly.
And obviously they've been out there doing a few laps already, so they know the lines.
And still sunshine at the moment. It's a little bit warmer now, and it has dried up a little bit. But what about this start again? Just brilliantly off the line for Winstanley.
No wheel spin there or nothing.
A.D. Smith pretty good as well from the centre of that grid. All around this time without any problems at all. There is Jay Smith then, riding as number 3 at the moment, but he should be 30. And A.D. Smith just behind him in 4th, 103 behind them a little bit as well, Sam Warren. So Jay Smith and A.D. Smith, this is the battle for second place, and you can tell A.D. Smith's trying.
That was beautiful. As you can see, everyone's on the dry line around the outside.
Yeah, they have tuned into it. It's got slightly bigger as well, obviously, with conditions improving.
Well, they've improved a lot. They're starting to pull some big angles now in the corners.
Jay Smith, got to keep it smooth. Can't afford to give A.D. Smith a chance at all, can he?
Look at that, beautiful. He's just feeling it there on the throttle, on and off the throttle.
He's using his feet just to counteract the balance on him as well. Looking good, and there is... Oh, down goes somebody. Oh, look at that. Winstanley's thrown it away. He's clambering to get on the bike. Winstanley, though, must have been just too hot into that, or maybe just caught a greasy part. He's down to third place, and all of a sudden, it was so good, it's gone so wrong. And it's now Jay Smith that's leading this.
Very lucky to keep the bike going there. Picked up, it was still on tick over.
No hesitations. He was straight back onto it, though, wasn't he?
That was incredibly quick thinking on his part. Picked it up, kept it going.
Well, it's Jay Smith that leads from A.D. Smith and Matt Winstanley. Well, it certainly hasn't knocked his confidence. It might have fired up his determination even more, because he is gaining ground rapidly. And Jay Smith must be thinking quite carefully about what he's got to do. Just got to stay ahead now and keep this smooth. Knows that he's got A.D. Smith behind him, and knows that somewhere Winstanley is that one. Winstanley is right on the back of A.D. Smith now.
Both KTMs together. He goes for the inside line and, oh, so close.
Doesn't quite make it, but A.D. Smith seemed to go wide there for some reason.
AD running titanium sliders on the bottom of his boots. You can see him sparking away there.
Winstanley, though, definitely a man on a mission now. He really is trying.
Yeah, as you say earlier, Chris, looks like it's really fired him up there.
As soon as they get on that tarmac, they get the benefit of that dry line there, and look at him go. He really is fired up now.
Oh, beautiful stuff. Big angles everywhere.
Just commits himself, 100%. I mean, you're looking at A.D. Smith, who's doing the same. Winstanley, though, just seems to be smoother somehow. Comparable machines as well that we're looking at. 613 KTM and the 619 KTM for A.D. Smith. So not much in it, really.
That's right, Matt Winstanley definitely looks smooth. I don't know if they're on different tyres or a different compound.
A few back markers now as well. That spells danger, but A.D. Smith's through. Jay Smith out leading this. He's got those two scrapping behind him. Winstanley's through, though. Winstanley's into second place.
Yep, he's on a mission there. He's after first place. Oh, they nearly touch.
Just caught up very quickly on that. I don't know whether Jay Smith got it wrong there. We didn't see him go past A.D. Smith, but he's gone past both of them. What sheer determination. And down has gone Keith Farmer. The 17-year-old comes to an abrupt standstill and now becomes a chicane. But look at that, Steve. That was just sensational.
Cracking ride. Used his head, different lines everywhere, especially on the dirt. Managed to get the win.
Just made it up when he needed to. Brilliant stuff. Matt Winstanley making it a little bit more exciting for himself than maybe he would have liked, but he fought back to take that win over A.D. Smith. Has to be said, that was a superb performance from Matt Winstanley. Not that he needed to try and impress anyone at all, but that he certainly did after coming off, then making it back up 2 places to take back the lead, and then keep it to cross the line to make it 2 out of 2.
I lost the front end coming into the first bend. I'm maybe 4th for the 5th lap. Picked the bike back up, kept running, then got back on the AD and Jay Smith, who was in the lead. Passed AD and then past Jay Smith with I think 1 or 2 laps to go. So that was a good race to fall off and come back and win.
SM3 back on the grid again. Last time Petr Voracek won this. He's on pole again, and I think he's the man to tip this time out, Steve.
Definitely went very well that last time out.
Away they go now, 7 laps, and it's him that's fighting with David Hartley and Richard Blakeman for the whole shot into that first turn, and I think the Czech did do it. Yes, he has, and gone with him is David Hartley. Number 5 there, Eddie Sloan. He got a pretty good start. He's pulled himself up quite quickly, and again the track has dried out. 23, Richard May on the 250 Honda. 250s and a 125s. This class suited for, but already he's looking to pull out a lead there.
Yeah, he's pulling away already. Obviously great tyre choice and setup again. Looking smooth as well, no big angles.
Number 20, the 17-year-old Grant Faulkner. He's moved up a few places now as well. Sloan there, number 5 in 5th place, Richard May. We've got in 6th, Rick Defoe, Scott Woodacre, the 15-year-old in 8th, Mark Rudd, Martin Robinson, Keith Warren there, that whole gaggle of riders. But Voracek it is that's pulling out and just pulling a little way from David Hartley. And then behind him, there's a whole gaggle here fighting hard. A little bit more spaced out, not quite on top of each other that we've seen in some of the other motos, but number 20, Grant Faulkner, not bad at all for a 17-year-old.
Oh, doing a mega job there, looking very smooth and controlled out there.
Just seems a little bit more gap with these lot this time. They're not on top of each other for some reason. Just having a quick look behind him. Quite convincing though, carried himself quite nicely into that, just keeping on the pace on his Wire Yamaha. Wire been developing this two-wheel drive system, which is just absolutely awesome. It doesn't seem to work in your mind till you see it, but Volicek doesn't need that today. He's out in front, and I think he's quite comfortable in taking this win at the moment, the way he's going.
Yeah, 450 Honda looking very, very good there.
Smoother delivery on the power, I think, than the two strokes, which paid dividends, I think, earlier on, but now with the way conditions are, it's not going to be that much in it. Certainly looking quite steady, using the foot just to guide himself around.
As with the SM1, everyone on the wide line now. The drying track. Keep off the wet stuff.
Almost lonely for him, nobody behind him to push him at all. Has got it all well and truly his own way, not, of course, taking a chance of being complacent at all.
Not that spectacular, but just very, very smooth.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, really, when you don't have to be, you know, just keep it straight, isn't it?
You know, not sliding the bike at all, it's just pick it up right, squirt it.
We'll know roughly what sort of lead he's got. There's certain parts of this course where you see just nips behind and has a look and knows that he's quite safe and can keep it nice, smooth and comfortable. And there is the checkered flag waved in his honour, and he's done that very nicely indeed. Well, in fact, that was almost 9 seconds this time that Petr Volicek won by, while David Hartley was second. Richard Blakeman fought closely for third place with Grant Faulkner. Great drive from him. Just the second moto for the SM2 class to run now, and then that will complete the entry for the super final. Final time on the grid for the SM2 class, their second moto. Top 10 from both the motos combined will go through to the super final, and that man Winstanley's there again. Steve, can't really bet against him.
That's right, this time out on the smaller bike on the 450 Bracken KTM. Be interested to see how he goes this time, see if he's got the similar setup to the Moto 1 bike.
Sam Warren's there, Petr Volicek and also Fiorentino right there on the number 41 bike alongside Winstanley. It's going to be between them two, is it? Oh, not a good start for Fiorentino, struggling to get off the line. Winstanley though, out in front again.
Cracking start, he's done it again. Oh, someone's gone down.
That is number 54, Steve Moody, that's gone down on the Yamaha, the Mike Wheeler machines. The Yamaha needs some repairs as the rest of them continue round. And number 6 there, Jason White, and that is Steve Moody, who's still on the ground. They'll have to move him out of the way. Pretty sharpish. And Jason White moving up very quickly, made up a few positions there. Not sure quite where we're going to slot him in position-wise. As we go back to the sharp end, Winstanley leading, no surprise there. Fiorentino though, I think he's on a charge in third place. Jason White 11th, in fact there he is, just gets caught up on a couple of bikes and he's just moved himself up to 9th place I think now. But looking at that, Steve, it looks a lot drier on the dirty bits.
Yeah, definitely, the tarmac completely dry, but this stuff is still pretty damp and wet.
Well, that's not going to travel so much on the onto the tarmac now like it was doing, but still difficult. Oh, it's very wet there.
Just getting very, very rutted.
Winstanley not bothered at all, he's away and clear. And that looked like Fiorentino in the background. Oh, we're going to see him chase him down again.
Absolute huge lead he's got there.
Pushing hard. And there is Fiorentino in the background now. That's quite a gap, and I don't think he's going to achieve that very easily. Oh, down goes number 83. And Aurélien Roland, the Frenchman on the Yamaha, but up quickly as Winstanley. Oh, look at him. He's just enjoying this.
Just playing out there, sliding in on the back brake. Dabs it down a gear.
Knows what he's got in hand now. He's really enjoying his riding, and that's great to see as well. Oh, somebody else who's not quite enjoying that. That is number 54. That's Steve Moody, who we saw earlier.
Same corner every time, so I don't know if there's a bit of grease or some dirt there.
Stanley looking behind him, but he's got it clear and sees the checkered flag again. Won't be bored of that. No dramas this time out for Matt Stanley, although he was steadily being caught by Frederick Fiorentino, but not quick enough to prevent another win. Danny Muller third and Petr Vorlicek fourth. So Matt Winstanley does it again. Doesn't seem that anybody can stop him.
The 450 race then, that went real well. Just a nice lead and just kept the 5-6 second advantage over second place. And just saved himself now for the super final.
Second time out for the youngsters and the SM4 class, and it was Gennaro Di Cello and Olivia Pope fighting for the lead off the line, with Lewis Toombs in third place and George Baldwin fourth. Pope lost ground to Lewis Toombs, who passed him to take second place, but out front Gennaro Di Cello was in the process of building up a huge lead on his 85cc KTM, and no one could stop him at all. Making it a double victory this time by a staggering 27 seconds clear of Lewis Toombs, who in third had a handful of time over Olivia Pope. The last chance races gave one final hope to riders that didn't qualify in the top 10 finishers from the motos for a place in the super final. 22 riders race again, but there are only 3 places to be won from each of the 2 last chance races. It was closely fought in both the A and the B heats, but at the end of the day, just those top 3 go through. And making it through for a place in the finale of the day are Alistair Clark, who won the A race, and takes with him Philip Smithson and Roston Levy, James Addy, winner of race B, Greg Kinsella and Andy Mitchell. And that completes the entries for the super final, where all 3 classes run together. On to the super final then, which will decide the Motard master of this event. It's a huge grid, and look at the lineup. Winstanley at the front there, and I think, Steve, it's going to be really exciting with all this mixed classes this time. It's going to certainly add to something.
Absolute huge grid, definitely, but with Winstanley on the form like he's been on, and he's whole-shotted every race so far, it looks like he's going to be the man to beat.
12 minutes and 2 laps. Winstanley's out there in front. A.D. Smith is right with him, though. Oh, that's Aurelian Roland that's gone down. John White, and I think David McKee was involved in that as well. Those 2 have continued on, but Matt Winstanley it was, I think, got cleanly away, and it's a bit more difficult because of the different classes of bike that's in there.
Definitely big power differences between Moto 1 and Moto 2, and I predict the big bikes will definitely be out in front, using the power and the traction on these slippy conditions. With
Fiorentino's on his SM2 bike, Matt Winstanley's on his SM1, which has got to bode better for him. And there was A.D. Smith, he's on his SM1 bike. It's Winstanley, A.D. Smith, Jay Smith and Sam Warren. That's the order I make at the moment on that, but it's going to change around all the time, changing even quicker as Philip G and Roston Levy go down. Those 2 are all right, but now at the back of the grid there, Petr Vorlicek and Nick Hobden, 7 and 52.
So it looks absolutely huge there now. The tight line still looks the favourable one.
Yeah, this course has had a lot of racing on it today. Winstanley just leaning to the left there just to get his balance, but looking fine. Nice spots coming up as the afternoon light heads towards evening.
Starting to look slightly greasy again now. Now the sun's gone in, and you can see the boys starting to slide around a bit more, dragging the dirt out onto the track.
But A.D. Smith in front of Winstanley. A.D. Smith has got the better of the local rider, and A.D. Smith, can he make it stick? But Winstanley, that's going to be a red rag to a bull.
As you can see with these big Moto 1 bikes, the power, they're just sliding them continuously.
And a great little circuit, this Three Sisters circuit as well. Just perfectly set up for this, and perfect for the spectators, which is why this sport is just becoming bigger and bigger all the time. Up they go over the top. Winstanley just a little bit closer. Oh, he's going to try and do it this time round.
Different lines. Both these guys from motocross background, so the off-road bit won't be a problem at all for him.
Winstanley went wider there just to try and get the quicker exit and shoot by him there, but he hasn't done it this time. But he's not stopped at all as they come over the line. Round they go, and it stays the way they are.
All over the back of A.D. Smith. He's biding his time, seeing what line's A.D. on.
These 2 riding pretty evenly at the minute, but Matt Winstanley, well, I don't think he's defeated yet at all.
He'll be pushing to that very last lap, just watching AD's line, see if he can change them slightly, looking for a place to pass.
I reckon he's going to try this on the dirty part again. I think he was setting that up last time out. We'll have to see what he does. But that, I think he's got more chance of passing him on the rough than he has. They seem to be pretty even on the tarmac.
That's right. You noticed last time AD went tight.
Here they go, up the top this time. AD Smith, number 4.
They drop down. Yep, again, Matt's gone wide. AD's gone tight.
AD had to take the rut, so it's worked beautifully this time. Well done, Matt Winstanley.
What a tasty manoeuvre that was.
Yeah, and he thought about that. He set that up. There we go, AD Smith on the inside, and then bang, you just see Winstanley going on a great drive out of the dirt onto the tarmac. That was clever stuff.
He just got much more drive there. He was up through the gearbox.
Matt Winstanley leading again, AD Smith behind him and not making up that ground. They got back markers ahead of them, and that could cause a few problems, but Matt Winstanley now just taking his chance to pull away where he can. 84 out of the way, AD Smith, or maybe he's not given up yet, because he's trying hard now.
Oh, AD's still trying. There was a bit of a moment there. Lost the front slightly. Both the guys on it. Look at that.
When it's late afternoon now, the sun certainly seems to have gone in, and it's certainly a lot colder, so we should see, I think, maybe a change in the track temperature now, although we see the tyres just smoking a little bit there, but conditions probably a little bit harder now.
Definitely. Big spot still coming from AD's boots.
Over the top again. This was where Matt Winstanley turned the tables on him, and he does take that tighter line this time. Doesn't need to go wide, doesn't need to expend any more energy. He knows he's got the lead. Now they come the last lap flag, so one more tour of this Three Sisters circuit, and I think it's safe to say Matt Winstanley's got this now.
That's right, as long as he doesn't mess up with the back markers. There can be tricky times when they get mixed up with those boys.
AD Smith quite a way behind. I mean, I don't think it's a case that he's settled. I think he's just been encountering so much traffic, and he's seen his chances of a win here go.
That's definitely held him back slightly.
Knows it disappointing for him really, but I mean, he's got to be pleased. He's put a great ride up today.
Great event for KTM, 1 and 2, perfect.
Yeah, just on top of the league again, exactly where they want to be, and they've just got it so right. Right sort of machinery, right teams to run them, and of course the great talent on them too.
That's right, both these guys from off-road, and the course very, very slippy, and looks like it suits the off-road guys definitely.
Just got a little bit more confidence of dealing with it, I think, haven't they? They seem to be able to catch the slides a lot better.
That's right. Very, very slippy there, as you can see.
Lightning reactions, what it's all about, and the sheer physical strength obviously as well. Got to be fit. With the checkered flag coming out as round comes Matt Winstanley. What a great ride from him. And AD Smith right up there too. So Matt Winstanley pulls out another great ride to win the super final, and richly deserved as well. AD Smith rode hard, but it just was overshadowing him again this time out. Danny Mueller was third, and Frederick Fiorentino was in fourth place.
Super final went real well for me. Eddie got a great start, went into lead, left me in second. With the sun going in, the track just got more greasier and greasier lap by lap, so the riding was real hard. It was just more of a technical riding today, using your head and not going in the corners at a flat out and losing the front end.
64 points at the end of the event makes Matt Winstanley the class winner in SM1. And what a great day it's been for him as well. 3 points behind was AD Smith. Matt Winstanley on top of the SM2 as well, tied with Frederick Fiorentino, but he has more wins, so therefore takes the class win in SM2 as well. AD Smith has also put in some fine performances over the weekend, but just missing out and ends up in second place in SM1.
I won both the heat races yesterday, qualified pretty good, and then had, I think, a second and a third, and then a second in the main final today. So yeah, it's been a good weekend for me, but also for KTM as well, with Matt topping the 650 class and the super final, me finishing second. KTM have had a great weekend.
In fact, it's been a very good weekend for just about everybody, especially, it has to be said, for the spectators who've turned up here and been treated to some top-class entertainment. 2 more rounds remain in the Winter Series, and now it's back once again to the Three Sisters circuit for the second meeting before everyone heads to Lyd for the third and final round. Blue skies hide the truth that the circuit has been battered by high winds and heavy rain, and if it wasn't cold enough already, snow is forecast for the second day of this weekend. The Motard Masters features 4 classes and riders can compete in more than one. The SM1 class is the biggest class with a minimum of 250cc's and a 700 maximum. SM2, 250s to 450s. And SM3 is 125s to 250s, while SM4 is a new class for 11 to 14-year-olds on 85cc bikes. In Supermoto, tyre choice is always difficult, with racing being over tarmac and loose surfaces. Experience in making the right tyre choice for the conditions is vital, but it's not always an easy choice to make.
Well, there are 3 types of tyre basically. You've got a wet, an intermediate and a slick. The obvious difficulty is you can actually cut a slick, so you can put a tread on a slick tyre. Wet tyre will obviously disperse water on tarmac, but it will also work quite well on soft dirt. The difficulty is once the tarmac starts to dry, you start ripping the wet up, it gets very hot and just starts falling apart.
As well as the types of tyres, they vary in hardness, allowing for differing temperatures, and that in itself is another choice to be considered.
You've got 3 compound choices in a slick, you've got a couple in intermediate, and then you've got your wet tyres. So throughout that and cutting, you've got an awful lot of choices, and at the end of the day, that can be the difference between winning and losing.
The conditions this weekend will do nothing to make the choice any easier, but mostly it looks as if it's going to be wets for everybody. Peter Vorlacek dominated the SM3 class last time out, and he's back again to hopefully do more of the same. The Czech rider's also competing in the SM2 class, and he should be one to watch on the MW Racing Hondas.
Yeah, I hope I make all for the good riding. Yeah, this weekend is a little bit different condition. It's not so very cold, it's better. I think it's the same for tomorrow, because ice, I haven't so many experience on it from last time, and I hope it's the same condition.
Making an appearance in SM2 on one of Dave Clark's 450 Husselbergs is 29-year-old Leighton Hay. The former British champion has a wealth of motocross and sand racing experience and is currently riding on a race-by-race basis, but will be as dynamic as ever here.
I'm riding the 450 Husselberg. I only rode it for the first time on Friday, but everything's going, you know, to plan with this thing. You know, I'm getting used to it, and it's, you know, I like it. So hopefully, if we get a reasonable start, you know, I can push through there, but it's quite difficult to pass around this place now. It's quite tight, and with the wet conditions, you know, you struggle hooking up to get a good drive off the turns, but we'll do our best.
Danny Muller had major problems before he even got near a bike and wasn't likely to get much better due to the Swiss rider having discharged himself from hospital only a few days ago.
For me, it's a big problem. I have last week a big accident in the motocross. So I broken 2 ribs and I was 3 days in the hospital. So I come back to Three Sisters. I want riding, so I have big problem, and I hope this day goes better.
Master of the dry line last time out, Frederic Fiorentino, was again buoyant as ever and looking for some more good results this weekend. But he wasn't completely satisfied that he'd got the best out of Husselberg and was looking for some answers even before the first moto.
In 450 I'm very confident, and in the big class SM1 650 I don't know, I don't find yesterday a good setting with the bike, but we work and my mechanics work hard on the bike to reach to have a good compromise, and I hope make 2 podium today.
Bracken KTM's A.D. Smith was also not having the best of times this weekend. Day 1 started out well, but then towards the end of the afternoon, disaster struck for him.
unfortunately, the last heat race there, while I was leading, I had a rear wheel puncture, so I'm pretty much out of it for the weekend. The way they run the results and the race format, basically I've got to start from the back, or I might not even have qualified.
Northern Ireland's David McKee was the Irish winter champion last year and was quickly showing that he had to be kept in mind for top honours. Pretty unfazed about the conditions this weekend, he only seemed to have one mucky concern.
The track's not bad. I read here in the summer with a championship. It's a good track. I like it. The off-road section's very dirty. That messes the bike up big time, but it takes all week to wash it again with whatever it is to make that dirt out of it, but apart from that, it's fine.
At the previous round, it was fair to say that Matt Winstanley was as strong as the winds that had been battering the Three Sisters circuit overnight. And it was certainly hard to bet against him doing that this time in the SM1 and also the SM2 classes.
From last time, the track's a lot different. Last time we had a lot of ice on the track, which made it very slippy because it dried up, and it was when the sun came out, it dragged all the clay off the off-road onto the track. So. But today it's been real good. It's been raining quite steady, which makes the track always clean, which makes the tyres work a lot better, so you can push a lot harder.
Despite the challenging conditions, there were plenty of brave spectators turning out again in day 2 to see the motos and the finale of the day, the super final. And it's the top 16 riders that go through into the super final from the SM1 and 2 motos, as well as the top 5 from SM3, along with the top 3 from the last chance races. Let's have a look at the circuit at Three Sisters. It's a 1.3 kilometre circuit with both smooth and rough surfaces. We're on board courtesy of Danny Muller, and away from the start you're looking for a good clean entry into the paddock bend. The first right-hander that then quickly feeds into the left-hander. Then it's a quick blast up through the gearbox along Rogerson Straight before carefully heading into the long-lasting Luna Bend that flattens out slightly just before you head out of the exit and onto the Conrod Straight. This is the straightest and the fastest part of the Three Sisters circuit, but it's not that long before you have to stand on the brakes, down a couple of gears and head into the S's, which is where on the circuit they then break off the tarmac and head off towards the off-road section. It's uphill first, then a right turn leads into a tabletop jump. Then after landing, there's a couple of small bumps before it's downhill on a tight right that ruts up pretty badly after a while, and that leads into the valley section onto a short, slippery tarmac section before again it's onto the rough stuff. And you have to be careful here as a return to tarmac is made again, and then it's up towards Joey Dunlop corner on the main circuit for a right-hander that then feeds back onto the start-finish line. Then you're over the grid and round to start yet another lap of Three Sisters. First moto of the day is for the SM1 class, 250cc up to 700cc's, and Steve Colley alongside me once again. Looking forward to another good event here, Steve. The SM1's just coming onto the grid now.
That's right, another full grid, 30 guys. Christian Idun back out on his factory Husqvarna. Also David McKee on the Husky and Frederick Fiorentino out again on the Husenberg.
So it's going to be another good round, I think, this time. Around about 7 laps we should see of this circuit, and that says it all. It's snowing here at the Three Sisters circuit.
Well, we thought it was slippy last time, but this is another league, this. All the guys obviously on wet weather tyres.
And it's very, very cold, very windy. We get away, and Matt Winstanley doesn't get the whole shot this time.
Christian Idun out in front. Oh, and Winstanley goes down. Big high side.
Lost it right in the middle of the pack there. Looks as if the bike's still going, but seems to be okay. And like a true professional, he's back on it again.
Very lucky there, he kept it going.
And there is number 480 Smith mid-pack. He's come up a little way. He started right at the back of the grid for this race, so got his work cut out. But there's Christian Idun, and very talented rider. Right behind him, David McKee from Northern Ireland. He is the Irish Supermoto champion last year, and he relishes these conditions.
The 2 Husqvarnas out in front, they're looking good. Obviously found a good setup in wet conditions.
Here's that replay. Look out for Winstanley. Just gone out of the picture, but this is where he drops it. And well, was that power or front end that got away?
Just on the gas a little bit too much, and the back end stepped out. He shut off, it gripped and it high-sided him.
Well, luckily, he and the bike all right manages to get on it, but now, Steve, he's got his work cut out.
That's right, but if anyone can do it, this guy can.
Number 21, Christian Idden leading this race, and David McKee right behind him. All of a sudden, it's these two at the front. Everybody else is struggling behind to catch up. Third place, that is Frederick Fiorentino. He was just so good last time out, but no dry lines at the moment, Steve. It seems pretty wet.
That's right. Probably better for the riders, actually. Just very, very consistent. You know what it's going to be like. You know it's slippy everywhere.
Last time we were here, we'd had a lot of ice and it had been salted, which made it very greasy. Now it's just wet, but these wet tyres seem to give them really good grip.
That's right, as you say, just the guys know if it's wet everywhere, when it's half and half and it's dry, it's greasy, it's slippy, and that's when you can make mistakes. But at least, you know, they're out there on wet tyres and it is wet, so...
That's Tim Booth, who started from 9th place. He's stopped, and I'm not sure whether he's going to continue, but this is great stuff from David McKee, who's got past Christian Idden now. Christian Idden not happy at all. I think that was a bit of body language there, but David McKee already pulling away. Frederick Fiorentino pushing hard now, trying to catch up on 2nd place Christian Idden.
As you can see, the guys pulling desperately at the tear-offs on the goggles with all the spray and the dirt about.
Yeah, plenty of that today as well. Oh, lovely. Just look at the control he's got on that machine, just really hanging it out. And David McKee just looking very happy, very confident on that Husky.
Looking really smooth there, no big slides or nothing, just looking very, very confident out there, as you say. No big moments, no big angles.
No, just keeping it nice and neat as well. Alan Smith in around about 14th place, I think, at the moment on the SM Racing. That's the 570 VOR that he's on, and struggling to keep his position. He's under pressure at the moment. And there is Matt Winstanley. Surprised to see him so far down today, Steve.
That's right, after that first lap crash, I think it's been difficult for him to pull back up through the field.
Working hard he is, but there's a quick wipe of his goggles before he goes on to the rough stuff. But David McKee has already come round the final turn now and has taken the checkered flag. What a surprise that is. So David McKee beats Christian Idden. They come to just hold their positions while the others cross the line, and certainly happy. Well, surprises right from the start, but delight for David McKee, who wins with Christian Idden 2nd and Frederick Fiorentino a close 3rd. A confident ride from the Irishman to win the opening moto of the day, and another chance to do it again later on today. SM3, this is Moto 1. That's Mr. Vorlacek, Peter Vorlacek, who we saw so strong last time out. Got his 250 MW Racing Honda. Got to be the man to watch, I think, this time, Steve.
Yeah, definitely, that's right. Obviously, all these guys on 4-strokes. Everyone's a 250 4-stroke.
Richard Blakeman went right with him there on the 250 Suzuki. Smaller grid this time, but already he's just starting to pull ahead of Richard Blakeman. Grant Faulkner, David Hartley, we got in 4th. Scott Woodacre, who's the 15-year-old, and Rick Defoe in 6th. Grant Faulkner, who was 3rd on the number 21, he's actually 17 years of age.
Actually, probably better for these little 250s today. A lot less power, and it will be actually better in the wet, slippy conditions.
He's going for it already. This 250 Honda he's got is just so nice indeed. 68 just going a little wide. That's David Hartley, and then Grant Faulkner just behind him. You can see it's starting to rain again now.
Into the slop of the off-road section now.
Yeah, you can see it's very wet this time. It's going to rut up very badly as the day goes on.
And obviously, again, this is going to drag onto the tarmac and make it even more slippy.
As if life wasn't difficult enough for them today as well. There is number 44, 10th place. That's Richard Brendish on the 250 Yamaha. But look at Vorlacek going. You can see the gap he's got now. He's got a couple of seconds in hand already. There's no stopping this Czech Republic man.
Amazing stuff. That just really shows how good he is. After just a couple of laps, he's pulled out a big lead there.
Richard Blakeman pushing hard, number 49. David Hartley still holding on to 3rd place at the moment. And he's managing to stay pretty clean at the minute. But you can see there's a little bit of standing water on some parts of this circuit as well. The wet's doing their job.
Yeah, the grip the tyres give the boys are amazing. Oh, look at that. He runs wide on the grass and still managed to stay on.
Yeah, that just started just before that. He just was carrying a little bit more speed, but got away with that. Now he's got his work to do. He lost, I think, a position there, and he won't be very pleased with himself at the minute.
A massive moment that actually done really well to stay on.
Yeah, that could have been potentially a lot more hazardous for him. Oh, here's a replay. You just see the back end just slip first there as he goes in, and then he knows it's not going to happen. I think it was quite mature riding there, really.
Oh, really good. He just shut off and managed to stay on it. That was great stuff.
Well done, Richard Blakeman. Now he's got his work to do. And that's Grant Faulkner, who got ahead into third place. The 17-year-old, Richard Blakeman, is not far behind him. Oh, and he's done it again.
Overcooked it. Came in far too hot.
Can't blame him. Just trying really, really hard to get that position back. It's always difficult, isn't it? Once you've made a mistake, you get that red mist coming down. You've got to really control yourself.
That's right. You just try and pull back the time, and often you end up overriding.
Well, just coming back onto the tarmac, just that short section of tarmac, and he's just looking behind to see where he is. And here's a replay. This is him running wide again.
Oh, that was close. He was looking at the tail of the guy in front of him there.
Yeah, and there's barriers just at the side of that as well, so he got away with that. Definitely on the ball today, but not as much as this man. Look at him go, just got such a commanding lead now. Got great smooth style.
As you say, smoothness, that's what it's all about on a slippy day like today. There's no angles, there's no big slides or skids.
Head down as well, just trying to gain that extra little bit of speed where he can. Sun coming out as well, it stopped raining, but it's still very wet. Little 250, good on the rough stuff as well.
As you can see, getting really, really rutted there, just going into the corners.
Yeah, not taking such a tight, wide line this time. And there is number 49, who's actually moved up into third place now. So despite all these dramas, he's moved up, and no problem for Peter Voracek, who's just taken the checkered flag. No surprise is really the way he's been riding. Well, Peter Voracek puts in another convincing win, finishing almost 13 seconds clear of David Hartley, who took second place. Well, pretty much a display of true grit from Richard Blakeman, who made his mistakes but caught up again after a determined ride to finish in third place. SM2s on the grid this time, Steve. The white number plates and the black numbers of the SM2 class for their first moto. But Frederick Fiorentino and Leighton Hay are starting from the back of the grid after arriving late in the Parc Ferme. That's going to be quite exciting then.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting stuff. Peter Voracek on the 450 Honda that we believe has had an awful lot of work done on it, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes today.
Matt Winstanley on pole position, poised and ready to go. Good from Matt Winstanley. Voracek's right up there with him, those two fighting for the whole shot. And again, it's stopped raining, but it's still wet. The sun's out, but it's bitterly cold, and they will get caught up on each other there.
No mistakes from Winstanley this time round, nice and cleanly through the first corner.
Yeah, he can't afford any mistakes this time at all. He was furious with himself after last time. And there was 333 Ricky Higgs. And I think that was Philip Wiley that were very close together. Yes, it was. On the Castle Honda's Honda, 7th place. But look at this man, Peter Voracek, up there again and pushing hard on Winstanley.
That's right, breathing down his neck there. Really, really close stuff.
You see how bright it is now with the sun coming out. Up over the rough stuff they go. Interesting to see. Winstanley slightly more aggressive, I'd say, in his style than Voracek. Which one's going to work?
That's right, Voracek just looks so smooth. He does very little work with his body. He's not moving all over the bike.
Replay of the start again. Matt Winstanley, perfect start for him. But Peter Voracek was right up there. And also you saw Aurélien Roland, number 83, the French rider who's come all the way up from the south of France this weekend. He was going really well in the heats, and he's in the top 4, I think, at the moment. But it's about these two. But Winstanley just a little bit faster at the minute.
Yeah, he just seems to have the edge. He's just holding off there.
Those KTMs are just well sorted, and that's last year's bike as well that they're using for this winter series. They haven't even got the 05 bikes out yet.
That's right, but in some ways it's a lot easier. He's obviously got all the setup, all the settings, so he can just turn up on the day and he knows it's going to be right.
Yeah, whereas with the Voracek Honda, they're still trying to get the best out of that machine at the moment. But Matt Winstanley just a little bit slower there, and Voracek just waiting really.
He just looks so smooth. He's just sat in the seat there. He doesn't move anywhere on the bike at all.
And of course he won the race before, so he hasn't been resting. He's actually just jumped off one and straight onto the other.
Not a bad thing. He knows all his lines. He's remembered all his lines. He's got a little bit more power in his right arm this time, from the 250 to the 450.
Yeah, and somebody just stopped to the side there, but not causing any problems. Looks behind him, but he's comfortable in second place. I think he's quite happy as well. Down he goes. You can see it's very wet on that part of the circuit as they head out of the final turn and into this very tight first turn.
He's trying to get close, but not too close, because obviously you're getting the spray all the time off his Winstanley in front. You can see him pulling drastically at his tear-offs again.
Matt going for it, needs this win, really. Wasn't happy about the way the SM1 first moto went. Foot out just to guide him, and you can see that rear tyre just looking to bite in. Bitterly cold as well. The guys were warming their hands on the exhaust before they went out to form the grid for this.
You can see their different styles completely. Winstanley coming in on the back brake, the bike sliding sideways. Volacek just riding in smoothly.
Further back, Danny Muller. Well, Danny Muller in such a bad way. Such severe pain he was in. I'm so surprised that he was riding, let alone doing as well as he is. And he's in 4th place at the moment. Aurelian Roland that is just ahead of him in 3rd place. And this guy's just riding beautifully as well.
He looked like Bullet Man there, doesn't he, with no peak on? He's obviously been off and smashed the peak off the top of his helmet.
But he discharged himself from hospital in Switzerland the Wednesday before this event because he wanted to ride so much and just dosed up on painkillers overnight and spent all the rest of his time sleeping as much as possible. But you have to take your hat off to him, or maybe you should commit them for insanity.
Must be pretty difficult for him this minute in time. No peak on the helmet, he'll be getting filled in by the guy in front, and nothing to protect his goggles or his eyes from all the dirt.
No problems though for Matt Winstanley out in the front, and has got a little bit of an advantage now over Petr Volacek, so pressure off him a little bit. Just got to keep the pace steady now. He is good though, look at him.
Yeah, very, very controlled.
Once the pressure's off, he can just calm down and just keep that rhythm, and that's where he seems to pull up more time.
You see him up and down through the gears so quickly there. Knock it up a few, knock it back down a few. Getting a good rhythm going now.
Petr Volacek looks to be just a little bit more ragged to me, I think, now.
That's right, just trying so hard to gain the gap. Lost another bit of time there.
I think it just settled for 2nd place. I think really just knew that it wasn't worth throwing it away. That's Frederick Fiorentino that's stopped as well. What an exciting ride he's had from the back. And also Matthew Pope stopped out as well. But the checkered flag is out, and it is out in the name of Matt Winstanley. So he'll be very pleased. Petr Volacek did push him hard in the early stages, but ended up 2nd behind Matt Winstanley and 2.5 seconds adrift. Danny Muller, an impressive 3rd, allowing for his injuries, of course. So Matt Winstanley takes his first win of the day, but has 3 more chances to improve on that score. Next on the schedule was the SM4 class for riders aged between 11 and 14-year-olds on 85cc bikes. Scott Elderfield had been strong all weekend and started from pole in the first moto and kept the advantage to lead and just kept on pulling away from George Baldwin, who initially had 2nd place before he then dropped down to 4th. Lewis Toombs took 2nd place while Oliver Pope was 3rd, but neither was able to match Scott Elderfield in their first outing of the day. The first moto for all the classes completed and plenty of action taking place. A little too much though for Matt Winstanley in SM1, but all was good again in SM2.
Me and Petr pulled away from Danny Muller and the French rider in 3rd and 4th. We were riding well, strong all race. A couple laps from the end, he started to drop off a 2nd and then 2 seconds. So then I just started to slow down a bit and just ride around, making sure I made no mistakes.
The SM1 grid lining up for the 2nd time, and it's the winner of Moto 1, David McKee, on pole again. Got to be a favourite. Christian Idden, he was good last time.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously back on the big bikes now. Quite a handful in these wet conditions, I can imagine.
Yeah, Poweralls doesn't work in the wet.
No, that's right. Not only the power, but stopping the things. A lot more weight in these bikes as well.
So where we go then on the right-hand side, number 7, David McKee, winner of Moto 1. Doesn't get as good a start as A.D. Smith did, though. He looked to be flying away, and Christian Idden was quick off the line. We'll have to wait and see. Somebody gone down. That's Jason Smythe. on Husqvarna 111 on the entry list. And that is number 6, Andy Mitchell, who's got Sam Warren with him. That's in about 6th and 7th place, I think. Who's at the front? It's A.D. Smith. What a good start he made.
That was a cracking start. Oh, nearly lost the front end there, just caught it.
And you can see how much it's dried up as well now, Steve.
Yeah, as we were on about earlier, maybe more difficult for these guys. Tricky conditions, definitely. Patches of damp, patches of mud, and also dry.
The wet stuff will be as wet as ever, though. It's just the tarmac that's drying out in certain sections of it. The sun quite strong now, so that will just burn the water away.
Winstanley pushing hard there.
Yeah, he's got a bit to do. David McKee, though, is flying on pretty hard. And second place looking for A.D. Smith ahead of him. Winstanley third now. Interesting to see how David McKee goes this time. Looking a little bit more gingerly into the corner there where the dry lines are.
That's right, very difficult for him. 1 minute it's grippy and dry, next minute it's all greasy on the outside and there's mud and dirt everywhere.
Yeah, all of a sudden the surface isn't even anymore, is it?
And you can see the bike sliding around a fair bit more, actually.
We've got his work cut out this time, making it harder for him to catch A.D. Smith, but I think Winstanley just closing on him slightly now. Man on a mission, I think, this time. Likes his big bikes and certainly wants to win at least one of the motos today if he can. Oh, and he's right up with David McKee now.
Line. Good race in this, very good stuff.
Very deep rut on that corner as well. And dogging David McKee all the way. Pressure is on the Irishman. Onto the tarmac they go. Oh, David McKee just lost a little bit of time there.
Ran wide there. He just went in a little bit too deep.
So Matt Winstanley will be relieved to see that clear space. And there he is ahead of David McKee. Can he close down his teammate? That's the big question now. Matt Winstanley started from 7th on the grid, and David McKee, that was a very nice move indeed.
That was fighting hard there. Completely different lines. One went in tight, one went in wide.
That certainly paid off, and a good bit of dedication from David McKee, I think, and Matt Winstanley back down to 3rd place. Won't be happy about that.
Definitely not, no, and he's managed to make it stick.
There's a replay that just played this beautifully, watched what was going on ahead of him. How on earth did he do that and make it stick?
That was wild, wasn't it? That really was.
Matt Winstanley had to pull himself up quickly there.
A proper motocross block pass that was.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Winstanley was expecting that at all. And down goes somebody, and that is Wayne Ferguson. Yeah, it is number 69, Wayne Ferguson has gone down on the 650 Honda, the MW Racing Honda. Struggling to get away, but the checkered flag is out for A.D. Smith, and that will be just rewards for the man who had to work really, really hard.
That was a beautiful ride, no problems, just led from the start.
Well, A.D. Smith home clear of teammate Matt Winstanley, who managed to defeat the hard battling David McKee and take 2nd place. And understandably delighted A.D. Smith, who thought this weekend was pretty much over the way things had gone in the heats. Moto 2 for the SM3 class. Peter Volacek on pole, looking to make it 2 in a row. Do you want to put money against him?
No, the way he looked in the first race, but completely different conditions this time, much drier.
Yeah, you can see it's virtually dry on that part of the circuit. This is going to be quite hazardous for them, but he gets away without any dramas at all. And Richard Blakeman went nicely with him there. Oh, very gingerly. Everybody through there carefully.
Cracking start by all of them, no crashes this time through.
And Grant Faulkner just having a little bit of rear wheel stutter. That's number 8. Ryan Willow's got him in about 6th place on the 250cc Yamaha.
Looks like there's a dry line all the way around this time, so they'll have to be very careful not to overheat those wet tyres.
And it's not like you can just swap tyres, really, because you still need the wets for the wetter parts of it. But this man just looking stunning as always, leaving the battles behind him. Richard Blakeman and David Hartley, who are fighting over 2nd place.
As they go onto the sloppy stuff, this definitely won't have dried. As you can see, really wet still.
Yeah, you can certainly see that. And let's have a look at what that rut's up to now. Oh, that's nice and deep.
Oh, they're getting huge. That must be footrest deep now, definitely.
Just struggling to get around that as well. You don't want to beach the bike on the bottom of that either, do you?
Beautiful slide. Changing up through the gearbox. Oof.
He's looking good, but Richard Blakeman was struggling a little bit more now, and that's let David Hartley catch up with him slightly. No, not taking any chances through there at all. They were quite sedate, really.
Looks like that Yamaha's a lot lower on the setup height of the front end of the back suspension. He looks sat really low compared with the other riders out there.
That's going to make it slightly more stable with a lower centre of gravity, but brings him closer altogether. Maybe just likes his feet just that little bit lower.
Armchair.
These two dragging themselves around now. The pressure certainly on number 49, Richard Blakeman, on the 250 Suzuki. Although we say that now, and it looks like David Hartley just lost a little bit of ground there.
Completely different conditions in this race. Unbelievably dry compared with the first race for these guys.
Yeah, it actually looks like quite a different day. And the loose surface on the top of that main jump there looked a lot drier. The water just running down further through as Peter Voracek comes around to get the one more lap flag.
Very smooth, isn't he? Just a constant smooth drift all the way around.
Yeah, not so smooth there for this man though. That's Graham Norris, number 30, that's gone down and frantically trying to remove bits of circuit from his bike.
Pulling grass out of the throttle, not ideal at all.
It's ideal though for Peter Voracek on his last lap, just dabbing his way through and just cruising really around the remainder of this final tour of the circuit in the SM3 class for him. And there is the checkered flag. Peter Voracek has done that again, pulls up the front wheel and has a look over at his pit team who are watching him from the side. So 4 SM3 wins out of 4 races, 5.5 second advantage on that one. Peter Voracek in a league of his own. David Hartley was second in that race. Simply able to adapt to whatever the conditions are. Peter Voracek now heads into the paddock to go on his SM2 bike. The final of the main motos as the SM2 class line up for their second moto. The top 10 from both motos combined will go through to the super final. It's going to be a close fight between Matt Winstanley and Peter Voracek. That's what I predict this time. Danny Muller, though, can't rule him out. Aurelian Roland, we saw some good riding from him earlier, so any of those 4, I think we're going to see some good fights from.
Big grid this time in the 450s. Nice and dry again.
And away they go. Peter Voracek got a great start. Matt Winstanley not so hot this time, it looked to me.
Oh, he got a flyer, Voracek. That really was a quick start.
Really drove that well. Yeah, Danny Muller, I think in second place it is. Aurelian Roland, Matt Winstanley, I think 4th. John White, number 6, in 5th place, and then Philip White. But again, it's got even drier again. Oh, Matt Winstanley really struggling and trying hard, drifting a little bit wide there. Oh, just fighting that KTM. Danny Muller on the 2-wheel drive wire Yamaha, and it's this sort of conditions that helps him, or prefers it a little bit more wetter for that 2-wheel drive, but he got a good start. But look at Peter Voracek go. Really did get off the line quickly there. And there he is, foot out just to balance him. Danny Muller second. Matt Winstanley now fighting for 3rd place and trying to get everything he can out of that KTM.
These top guys really on it, pushing really hard, nothing between them at all.
Well, number 83, Aurelian Roland, he really is pushing. He's got Matt Winstanley almost welded to the rear of his machine. He's had to pick that up very quickly as well. And straight from a very dry line to quite a wet one there. Oh, Matt Winstanley fighting that KTM.
Sliding it beautifully.
He's working hard. Not so good though for Philip Wiley. Number 98 crashed out. He was up and around about 6th place, but I think that's parking the Yamaha, that's called there now. But look at these all over each other. Matt Winstanley, inside move. No, doesn't make it work. Just caught up in that rut, I think.
That's right, these 3 really on it.
Danny Muller must be in such pain and not so happy as well. John Nissel, he's not sure what he's doing with his Husserberg. Peter Voracek leading. Aurelian Roland second. Danny Muller 3rd. So he's lost a place, and Matt Winstanley pushing hard. Danny Muller, though, how is he doing this? With broken ribs, it's difficult to walk, let alone throw one of these Yamahas around like they're doing.
Amazing ride from him. Coming under pressure again from Winstanley. He keeps on coming back and snapping at his heels.
A lot harder for him, though, with this drier surface. You can see just losing the grip as soon as it started to get on the drier stuff.
I say, so difficult from there. They get on the power, it slides, they get off it, it grips. It's very inconsistent, the whole lap is now.
And of course he is playing catch-up. The others a little bit more smoother, but certainly playing catch-up. Matt Winstanley doesn't want to be in 4th place.
Again, very, very smooth in this race. No moments off and no mistakes.
Yeah, Peter Voracek riding with his head, I think it's fair to say. Coming around to take the checkered flag, and he's done it again. Incredible stuff, yet delighted, definitely. Well, no stopping Peter Voracek today. That makes it win number 3, whilst credit has to be due to Danny Muller taking 2nd place on the very last lap. But the way the Super Final qualification works out, Peter Voracek now has to ride his SM3 bike in the Super Final.
I want to make all for the good start. I think I use 250 bike because now it's more slippery the track. Maybe it's more dry, maybe I'll lose with this, but I will see. It's I think the best step is to test 250 and I will see.
It was another great start for Scott Elderfield in the last run for the SM4 class, but he was quickly under pressure and dropped to 4th, while 14-year-old Lewis Toombs took over the lead and pushed on, with Oliver Pope now 2nd and remaining so, apart from on lap 4 where he was passed by George Baldwin, but the position was reversed again at the end of the penultimate lap. A 1.5 second lead in the 2nd moto for Lewis Toombs as he crossed the finish line, with Oliver Pope behind him in 2nd place and George Baldwin 3rd. The last chance races gives the top 3 finishers in the A and B motos entry into the Super Final, and it was no surprise to see Leighton Hay, who'd not been having the best of days, win his way through in the A race, taking with him Matthew Pope and David Farmer, while Keith Farmer won the B race and went through with Manny Smith and Chris Hodgson. That then completes the grid for the Super Final, the last moto of the day. The decider of who will be the overall Motard master of this event, and it is a huge grid. Look at that, Steve.
Massive. You wouldn't want to be at the back of there, would you? You really wouldn't.
And the big news, Peter Voracek on pole position on his 250cc Honda, Matt Winstanley on his 450 KTM, and everybody else just about on the big stuff.
Amazing. What a grid. 650s, 450s, 250s.
And Matt Winstanley on the 2nd row, I think he was there as well. But that was a good start for number 7, David McKee. A.D. Smith was up there with him as well. But where is Matt Winstanley and where is Peter Voracek? Matt Winstanley's in 3rd. Peter Voracek has dropped a couple of positions. That's number 6, A.D. Mitchell in 6th place. And Richard Blakeman is also on a 250. He's got the Suzuki in 7th place. And look at Andy Mitchell really, really fighting that bike.
Cracking start by A.D. Smith there as well.
Yeah, he did well on that. Matt Winstanley under pressure and has just lost out. He's on a smaller bike. He's on the 450. These others are on 600s at least. Just going to lose out on power. But how is Peter Voracek going to cope with that 250? These guys are just going to be driving all over him.
This is where he'll gain a lot. You can see him there. He's just overtaken 2 on the dirt stuff.
Replay of the start. And you see David McKee and A.D. Smith get a good start, but Peter Voracek struggling there.
That's where you can see the big bike power difference.
Yeah, it makes that different getting the grunt off the line. The white-plated SM2 machine of Matt Winstanley leading Christian Idden, and A.D. Smith has gone down to, I think that's about 4th place, and Peter Voracek is right behind him now. A.D. Smith hanging on, trying to gain some ground again.
Big fight at the front with these top guys. Trying really hard. You can see AD there on the power, sliding, sparks coming off the titanium slider on his boot.
And behind AD Smith is Peter Voracek. So he's made up a little bit of ground, and Matt Winstanley loses out round there as Christian Idden took through the lead, and he's gone down to, I think, 3rd place now, so he's got to do that all over again. AD Smith right with him, and Peter Voracek was right up there with AD Smith. David McKee under charge now. Oh, they all get caught up with each other.
Voracek goes different line out round the back, wide, and it's worked for him. He's gaining another bit of time there.
Christian Idden, Matt Winstanley 1st and 2nd, David McKee. Peter Voracek in 4th place now. What is he doing? He's on a 250. Does he know that?
This is amazing stuff.
And again, it's so dry here now that he must be struggling with that 250, because these guys can get the power on from the bigger machines a lot easier than they could. Oh, David McKee almost lost the back end of that then, but this is what these guys do well. They love to slide these machines. That is number 49 that has stopped on these 250 Suzuki, Richard Blakeman, so disappointment for him.
Another moment there with Matt Winstanley. Not too sure what happened.
Second place though, Christian Idden ahead of him. Can he do anything about Christian Idden? Looking confident now. David McKee, third place. Who is behind David McKee? It's our man from the Czech Republic who's just breezed through into third place.
Look at that, he obviously knows where he's quick with the smaller, lighter bike. You can turn him much tighter on the dirt.
Yeah, and if he gets that advantage and can keep it, they've got to try and pull him back on the straight now. Matt Winstanley back in the lead again. Christian Idden right up behind the man from Wigan.
Great riding by these two at the front.
Peter Vorlacek, third place, but it's going to be hard for him to try and do anything about these guys in front. And Christian Idden has been passed by Matt Winstanley, and Matt Winstanley is not going to let him through very easily this time. And took a slightly wider line there to get a nice drift through, but Christian Idden fighting with him.
Oh, mega, what amazing stuff down the inside.
Well, I spoke too soon there. Matt Winstanley grabbing the front end of the suspension there.
That was very brave by Christian Idden.
Yeah, just breezed through beautifully. I didn't think he could do it, but he did. And Christian Idden leading this super final again. Matt Winstanley going up the inside. They clash together because he doesn't want to go into that too tight a line there. And that was very bold moves.
What a block pass that was. Just went in on the tighter line.
Oh, really aggressive on that KTM now. He's determined not to lose it back now, is he? And he's pulled away a little bit. Oh, look who's in second place. Peter Vorlacek in second. Christian Idden's down to third. A.D. Smith and then Aurelian Rowland. But Peter Vorlacek on the 250 is in second place.
Christian Idden must have a problem there. He's shaking his head. And the gap the other two guys are taking out of him now is massive.
We have got an SM2 and an SM3 bike leading a whole gaggle of guys on SM1 machines.
Amazing, you'd be throwing the big bikes away after this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, making these guys ride with one hand maybe, but just can't believe what I'm seeing here now. Matt Winstanley, yeah, we know he's good. Not too much of a difference in power for him against the others, but I can't believe Peter Vorlacek is now second on that 250 Honda.
Just shows whoever's the best ride, they can ride anything, whether it's a 250 or a 650.
The checker flag is out, and Matt Winstanley pulls up the front wheel, and doing it also should be Peter Vorlacek because he's ridden an incredible race as well. Matt Winstanley pulls in a supreme effort to finish the day, winning the all-important super final, and an incredible ride from Peter Vorlacek to clinch second place on his 250 Honda. Well, it's the lowest points that wins, and David McKee therefore takes the overall SM1 class honours from A.D. Smith and Christian Idden, who was third. Well, Danny Muller must have been in agony after riding with his injuries to second in SM2, but man of the day really has to be Peter Vorlacek, who takes the overall SM2 win as well as the SM3 after that stunning ride in the super final.
250 is very good for the off-road section, and like I say before, I prefer dry condition, and in the super final is more dry, and I'm a little bit faster.
Matt Winstanley also deserves credit for winning the super final on his SM2 KTM.
Didn't expect to be where I was. Got a good start from the beginning and just pushing hard right from the start. Got passed by the S1 bikes down the straights. They just had a lot more power, but got to grips with their corners and pushed real hard and got a nice win.